Day, Junior Tuckies. Welcome to this English home language lesson for grade 10. Today we are going to be tackling types of poetry with a specific focus on odes, right? It's from the literature section of English. And yes, let's get cracking. My name is Miss Langtree and I have prepared this lesson for you. And of course I believe in you. You've got this. Alrighty, so what exactly is an ode? An ode is a type of lyric poem, and it comes from the word ode, comes from the ancient Greek word for chant. If you chant, you're sort of singing, you're very passionate about something, you're not just saying it. Okay? Often crowds kind of chant an anthem or of some kind or something like that. Anyway, so an ode is a poem that is written in praise of something or someone and saying how wonderful they are. So if you are writing a poem called An Ode to a Flower, you are going to spend that time talking about every single petal on that flower and how gorgeous it is. And you're really going to go into detail about why it's just otherworldly, super, super special. Okay, so very often an ode will have the title. So poems that are odes, what a life hack is this, are called ode to, and then whatever is in the limelight, whatever's being praised at that moment. Okay, so this could be quite fun as an activity. You could kind of find any inanimate object in the classroom and then write an ode to it. So ode to a pencil. Oh, pencil. I just love that I can, write something down and then it's not permanent and then you start to write a poem about that. So, yeah, that is how you spot an ode. It's got ode to in the name. Right. Odes were written by the poets of ancient Greece as well as by the Romans. Horace, I hope I'm saying that right, but he was particularly famous for his odes. And then many English odes were written centuries later, and they were sort of based on the blueprint, the originals, which was Horace's lyrical verses. So Horace is a big deal in the ode community. What was that sound, you might be asking? Well, that is the sound of a nightingale, and it is the star, it is the center of attention in this ode by John Keats. Okay, it is one of the most beautiful poems, argumentatively, and we are going to go through it together. So let's have a look at why John Keats decided, of all things in this world, bright and beautiful, that the nightingale deserved the most praise. So, John Keats is fantasizing about becoming a bird and flying away from his problems. This can sometimes feel relatable, hey? A key theme is restlessness. The speaker sees the nightingale, has an extensive thought process, and then watches as it flies away. He argues that nothing is motivating this bird to sing. No ill intentions such as envy or, greed are driving the bird when it's making this nightingale so gleeful. The bird is just happy to sing to its heart's content simply because it can. With its full lungs, it's just belting out a song because it is happy. And that is the end of that. Nothing else is driving it. Birds also do not think or worry about issues which humans worry about, such as aging. Okay, so that's something he talks about. Birds can fly far away from an area, and because of that, their problems and the issues in that area fade away too. So, in the last stanza, the poet gets emotional about the nightingale flying and thus fading away and leaving its problems, on land. He questions if this is all a dream. The poet also discusses how beautiful the melody / bird song of a nightingale sounds. I mean, we just heard it. It is very, very pretty, isn't it? South Africa has the most diverse range in birds, so we are very blessed with bird sounds too. This sound has been heard throughout the time by our ancestors. The poet references how Ruth from the Bible, emperors and clowns were all once hearing the sound once too. And remember, in Africa, we are known as having the oldest civilizations. So, yeah, we have heard birds, and our ancestors have heard the same sounds. And I am hearing hardy-dars right now. I literally am. I wonder if my ancestors heard those. Anyway, so they've all heard this bird sound, which is quite incredible if you think about it. So that's why it's an ode to a nightingale. It's like these birds have escaped death and time. It's a very, very deep poem. You're in grade 10 now, and I think it's important that we start to really analyze things critically and do difficult poems. Okay. Fun fact. Birds are rumored to have existed before humans. Birds have even been said to have lived amongst dinosaurs. Some people call birds walking, flying dinosaurs. So they are actually prehistoric. So before our ancestors, arguably, I don't know, were here. Birds were flying around with dinosaurs. This took a turn. Let's get back on track. So now we are going to read the poem in its entirety from start to finish. If you have the booklet in front of you or a pen and pencil, you can maybe underline or circle something that you think is relevant, but it's very important for us to read this poem to just get nuggets of an idea of where the poet is going with this, the tone, just get a sense, So read through it, yes, and let's have a general picture. Okay, so Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats. 'Tis not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness, that thou, light-winged dryad of the trees, in some melodious plot of beech and green, and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full-throated ease. Oh, for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in the deep-delved earth, tasting of Flora and the country green, dance and provincial song and sunburnt mirth. Oh, for a beaker full of the warm south, full of the blushful Hippocrene, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim, and purple-stained mouth, that I might drink, and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim, through verdurous glooms and winding mossy ways. Fade far away, dissolve, and quite forget what thou among the leaves hast never known, the weariness, the fever, and the fret. Here, where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad last grey hairs, where youth grows pale, and spectre thin and dies, where but to think is to be full of sorrow, and leaden-eyed despairs, where beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs upon the boughs, but in embalmed darkness guess each sweet wherewith the seasonable month endows the grass, the thicket, and the fruit-tree wild, white hawthorn, and the pastoral eglantine, fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and mid-May's eldest child, the coming musk rose, full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt of flies on summer eves. Thou was not born for death, immortal bird. No hungry generations tread thee down. The voice I hear this passing night was heard in ancient days by emperor and clown. Perhaps the self-same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth, when sick for home she stood in tears amid the alien corn. The same that oft times hath charmed magic casements, opening on the foam of perilous seas, in fairy lands forlorn? Forlorn! The very word is like a bell to toll me back from thee to my own self. Adieu! The fancy cannot cheat so well, as she is famed to do, deceiving elf. Adieu, adieu! Thy plaintive plaintive anthem fades, past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now 'tis buried deep in the next valley glades. Was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music. Do I wake or sleep? The end. In the following poem, put a star next to every line which is praising or is positive about the nightingale. You're welcome to stop this video here, and to do that, just anywhere where you think that he's complimenting this bird, put a star. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's very normal to read a poem from start to finish, zone out in the middle, come back to earth, and to feel like you're in over your head. That's normal. The seen poems are normally much harder than the unseen poems. Okay, as long as you kind of got a thread of information from there and sort of an idea of where he's going with this. For example, we know that he loves the bird because it can just fly away, and he's stuck on earth. The speaker is stuck with all his own problems and he's feeling mighty sorry for himself. That's fine, okay? Then you read the questions and then you get more specific, trying to kind of grasp what the marker is asking, and then you can sort of dive in a little bit more if you're totally confused. But luckily for scene poetry, we can go through it together and analyze it. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so get out a pen, pencil. It's time to bedazzle. It's time to really decorate that poem. As many notes as you can possibly fit on that page. Trust me, the better when it comes to studying. Okay, let's read. 'Tis not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness, that thou, light-winged dryad of the trees, in some melodious plot of beech and green and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full-throated ease. Okay, so that's stanza 1. Those are the first 6 lines. Also important, number your poem. Cannot stress this enough. Just save yourself the time and energy and just number the thing. The questions are going to ask you about specific lines anyway, so just do it as soon as you get the poem, honestly. But happy in thine happiness, line 1, shows how the bird has found happiness within itself for the sake of happiness. Okay, happy in thine happiness. He's just a happy bird. He doesn't have a reason. A dryad is a tree spirit in Greek mythology. This metaphor shows that the nightingale is magical and mysterious. Sort of think of a wood elf, sort of those little elves that are, I think they are made out of wood and they live in the forest, and that's what a dryad is in Greek mythology. Okay, melodious plot, think of a melody, and that shows the bird's intentions in line 4. So to plot is to scheme, and melodious alludes to a melody or song. So it's planning on singing you a song. Okay. The bird plans on singing the songs of summer, to be more specific. How beautiful is that? The songs of summer. Because summer is referred to as a season of sunshine and joy. So it's very positive, and you can picture lots of birds celebrating that it's spring or summer because all the flowers are out and it's a beautiful time of abundance. Okay. With full-throated ease, so we're still on line 6. The bird is just giving it his all. He's just so happy to be here, guys. He's really giving 100%. And just because he's happy, that he's happy with his lot, he's just happy with what he has. Okay, let's move on to stanza 2. As you can see, my numbers have been moved to the right-hand side, which is fine. You guys just number your lines on the left-hand side. It's so important. But there they are. Okay, so you will notice that a few things are highlighted here. There's alliteration on the D sound, deep delved earth, the B sound, beaded bubbles, winking at the brim. Ooh, brim's also a B sound. And with the fade away into the forest, fade into the forest. Okay, so think about how effective those sounds are and why. And then also note that the lines are starting in a similar way, and that's with O. So why would somebody start a sentence with O? Okay, so think about why someone would do that and why that is effective. That's called anaphora. Okay, but don't worry too much about that. Okay, so let's start analyzing what is said in this stanza. Okay, so the speaker wants a tall glass, a draught, which is like they often use it for beer, or a beaker in line 11 of the warm south or vintage. So, vintage alludes to something of high taste from the past. If something is vintage, something is, yeah, it's very beautiful, and it's something that's been preserved very nicely from the past. Okay, the speaker is implying that he wants to drink from nature and for his cup to be full. Okay, because so the drought, the cup, has been cooled a long age. It's been cooled down in the deep delved earth, imagine, and it tastes of flowers and the country green. Okay, it tastes of dance. Okay, it tastes of provincial song, which is kind of like anthems, and sunburnt mirth. Sunburnt mirth. Mirth is merriment. So he's really saying that he wants to just taste nature in all its glory. He wants a beaker of the warm south. You get it. Okay. He wants to drink from the cup of nature, from the cup of life, and he's feeling a bit empty, a bit down. And so he would very, very much enjoy, okay, a sip from the cup of life and to be like the nightingale. Okay. Let's see. Yes, he is implying that he wants to drink from nature. Hippocrene in line 12 is a sacred fountain in Greek mythology. Okay, the water from here gives you poetic inspiration. A well is sort of, they've dug a hole into the earth, and a well is just a place where you can access the water at the deep down in the earth like that. So this is a very famous well, a kind of mythical well in Greek mythology. And if you drink from those waters, yes, you will be inspired. And of course, he wants to drink from that cup as well. Okay. The poet states that he wishes to fade away into the forest, unseen, like birds so often do. They can just disappear, and no one can find them. When lines start with the same word, this is called anaphora. The speaker is starting with O. This is a sound we make to emphasize strong emotion. Oh, hectic. Oh, no. We still use O all the time, and it's to show strong emotion. The speaker is wishing desperately to be in touch with nature in the same way the nightingale is. Just the thought of it is making him just overflow with emotion. Okay, alliteration is seen in lines 8, 13, and 17. The repetition of the D sound is deeper and heavier. Look at that. Cooled a long age in the deep delved earth. It's really showing that this water was deep down into the earth because the D sound is so heavy, and it's almost like they're digging out this water. Okay, think about the B sound. All right, much more light-hearted when spoken. Okay, this emphasizes how the bubbles float and are delicate. Then, of course, we have the F sound as well. The fade away into the forest. It's very, very light. Sounds like breath, sounds like air, and that's exactly what this bird is doing. It's just fading away, it's disappearing. So it's emphasizing that lightness. Okay. Stanza 3, everybody. Okay, again, we've got that alliteration on the F sound. So clearly and he repeats the words, okay? Fade far. He's telling the bird to almost go. Okay, he knows what's about to happen. He's seen it before. Dissolve and quite forget. He's very jealous. At this point, I think he's got some very real problems that he can't really run away from. And he's just kind of dealing with that emotionally. And he's just saying, well, you can just go on without me, just fade far, dissolve and quite forget the fever and the fret. Okay, he's trying to link it all together. Right. Also, look how many times he says where. All right. Why do you think that the poet chose to do that? Okay. And then also, beauty and love have capital letters. Okay. And have human qualities. What is that called? Think about it. Okay. So the F sound emphasizes how the poet wishes to disappear into the air. It's a very airy sound. The anaphora, repetition of the word at the beginning of a sentence. So look how many times where is being said. It links these lines together with a common theme. Birds are not where humans worry and fret until their eyes become heavy and leaden. Lead is in your pencil, but a large chunk of lead is extremely heavy. So if someone has leaden eyes, it means that their eyes are very heavy and big and being drawn down. Okay, so birds are light. They just fly away. Emphasis on the F sound. And he's stuck. He's stuck where he is. So he's just emphasizing that. Okay. Humans worry about growing older, their sorrow and sadness. He even says if you think you're sad. It's a very sad poem. And it's true, the more you think about something, the more you overanalyze it, the more you get yourself into a state. And birds can just escape where all of this is happening. Beauty and love have capital letters here. They are being personified. Did you guys remember the word personification? Okay, that's what's happening here. And it's when animals and other objects are given human qualities. Okay, beauty can't keep her eyes, her beautiful eyes. Love is pining. Pining is to miss something extensively, to just be so longing for something. Is pining for them beyond tomorrow. So, yeah, these are the things that humans just it keeps us up at night. You're probably quite young, so I doubt that this keeps you up at night. But if you get older, I hope these thoughts don't creep in. Okay, beauty can't keep her gorgeous eyes, because we age. Sorry to tell you, and yeah, okay. Stanza 4. Right, we're nearly there, guys. Okay. So, can you spot the metaphor? There is sort of a challenge here for us. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you where it is. Right. So, there are many references to nature and particularly flowers in this stanza. Perhaps pause the video and try and find the metaphor by yourself quickly. Okay? But just so you know, there are lots and lots of references to flowers, and because birds and flowers, they just go hand in hand. They need one another for pollination, and they're both so beautiful and associated with nature. So white hawthorn, pastoral eglantine, violets, and roses, they're all types of flowers. Okay? The speaker explains that he doesn't have a bird's eye view of the land and the flowers. Sometimes when you're in a situation, it's hard to see it from the bigger picture. When you're immersed, you can't really appreciate what you have. Okay? And that's what he's saying. Nor can he smell the incense, which is a scent that lingers on the boughs. A bough is a large branch of a tree. Okay? Also a sailing reference, but no, for now, it's just a large branch of a tree. So he can't really get immersed in nature once again. However, when he is surrounded by darkness, he imagines what it would be like to be a bird. So he's thought about this before. And when he's in darkness, he appreciates the bird's life fully and the nature that the bird gets to immerse itself in. Okay? The speaker is describing what would be seen by the nightingale, including the musk rose full of dewy wine. The musk is the scent given off by the rose, and the dewy wine is the nectar which is produced. So The flowers are described as a haunt because, like a ghost, they linger and follow people whilst you cannot always see them. Which season do you think the stanza is describing? Give a reason for your answer. Let's read the stanza and then we can answer these questions. Okay, so I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs upon the boughs, but in embalmed darkness guess each sweet wherewith the seasonable month endows the grass, the thicket, and the fruit tree wild, white hawthorn, and the pastoral eglantine. Fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and mid-May's eldest child, the coming musk rose, full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt of flowers on summer eves. Okay, so I mean it said summer there, so we all know it's summer, right? So I suppose if you did say, well, it mentioned summer, that would be a very good reason for your answer. But if you wanted to get more poetic with it, there's a lot of flowers mentioned, a lot of life sort of sprouting. So definitely summer or spring. Fruit tree wild. Mid-May's eldest child. So perhaps even late summer. Or something like that, because all the children have been born, so to speak. Okay, can you spot the metaphor? Have you gotten it yet? I just said it. Okay, the metaphor is in line 35 and 6. Here we go. Mid-May's eldest child, the coming musk rose. The musk rose, if I ever ask you to spot a metaphor, I want you to describe it as such. I want you to say A is being compared to B. I want you to clearly state what is being compared to what. So important. People don't do this, and it costs them a mark every time. And it's easy if you know the metaphor, then you know what is being compared to what. So you can just quickly write it, okay, and then go into your analysis. So Mid-May's eldest child is being compared to a musk rose or the coming musk rose. Or you could say the rose in line 36 is being compared to May's eldest child or Mid-May's eldest child. Okay? And that is because it's by comparing this rose to the eldest child, it's basically saying that the roses were the first that were born out of May. Okay, because they are the eldest, they were the ones who were born first. Do you agree with me? So when summer comes, all these flowers suddenly bloom. So it's effective to say that it's the eldest child, because then that clearly shows to us that it's the roses who were there first. Okay, when it came to the blooming flowers, the child of May, because the flowers are the children of the season. Winter is quite barren. August, everything's sort of dying. So yeah, I hope that you understand that metaphor a bit more clearly, guys. Okay, everybody, now we are on stanza 5, and I'm sure that you've noticed that the S sound has been highlighted there, perhaps the self-same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth when sick. Why do you think that alliteration is being used? Let's look at those two lines closer. I'm on line 42. Perhaps the self-same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth. It's been personified, first of all, because the song is now finding a path. All right. That's something a song can't really do, but a person can, all right? And also, the alliteration of the S sound is linking these lines together, and self-same song is very slippery sort of sound. It's also very light and a very musical sound. So it's just emphasizing, well, it's linking these lines together through the alliteration to show you this metaphor being extended and the path that it found. And also the S sound is good because it's musical, it's it's a light sound, and it's trying to show you the song. Okay, it's emphasizing that it's a song. So let's start on the right-hand side, I'm just going to be reading for a bit. The speaker calls the nightingale immortal in line 38, which means to live forever and to escape death. Thou was not born for death, immortal bird. He's kind of grappling with his own mortality and aging in the previous stanza, so it's not that surprising that he's now calling this bird immortal and escaping death. But why? Well, no hungry generations tread thee down. By saying that hungry generations do not tread it down, the speaker is saying that sometimes our generations and bloodlines of people, our families and groups of people have ended due to the world being too difficult, and they were stomped down and shredded. Their prosperity, they did not flourish. Okay, they were squashed, and that's very, very sad. But this has never happened with the nightingale. Okay, no generations have been tread down. And the voice, aka the song, the bird's voice, has been heard by both very powerful people, emperors, and people with less social standing, aka the clown. And that is quite amazing in a sense. I mean, we are all South Africans. I mean, I don't know your story, you don't know mine, but we've all heard the same bird songs and the same, the same animals. And isn't that incredible? We've got that in common. Birds, birds will sing for anybody. And that's what he's trying to say. So everybody has heard your sound. Okay, then he starts to grapple with the idea that the self-same song, so the bird song, found a path through the sad heart of Ruth when sick for home. Okay, Ruth, this is a reference to the Holy Bible. Now the poet is starting to go back in time and go back into history and think about the fact that the bird song could be heard then as well. Okay, so that's why this bird is immortal and escapes death. And, it's clear that this bird has had no troubles with its bloodline and its generations, because since the dawn of time, we have been hearing this bird. And isn't that incredible that our ancestors heard the same things that we did? And then so the speaker wonders if Ruth, a character from the Holy Bible, heard the nightingale once when she was going through difficult times, because the speaker is going through difficult times for sure. And the song is called Charmed Magic Casements. Now, a casement is a window, and these windows open in fairy lands and on dangerous waters alike. Let me read to you two of the most beautiful lines, okay? So first of all, the song is a metaphor. The song is a charmed magic casement, okay? So charmed magic casements opening on the foam of perilous seas in fairylands forlorn. So it's a window into magic, okay? So it opens you into, whether you're on a dangerous sea or you're in the fairylands, and you're forlorn, which means really upset. These magic windows kind of open and transform you into this new world. Okay, they come and find you, and they come and bring some kind of magic into your life. So the author has really taken a turn in this stanza. He's gone from, saying, oh, you're so lucky, you don't have to worry about aging, you can just fly away from your problems. And he's turned around and he said, Nightingale, you are immortal. You've escaped death. My ancestors heard you. You've been around since the dawn of time. And every time you speak your beautiful song, you are opening a window into a new world, whether I'm on the perilous sea and in fairylands. And not only have the uber powerful heard you, but the clown has heard you too. So this is why this poem is so brilliant. It's an ode, and an ode means to put someone in such high standing, often to, immortality and just incredibly, incredible appreciation and almost borderline worship is what an ode is all about. Okay. All right. Now we are on the last stanza, everybody. And this is when the bird eventually flies away, and it's very upsetting for the speaker. So let's dive into it. Forlorn means abandoned and sad, lonely. So he says, forlorn, the very word is like a bell to toll me back from thee to my soul self. He mentioned the word forlorn in the previous stanza when he talks about a forlorn sort of fairyland. So the fact that he mentioned loneliness, rings in his head, and he's back to his own reality. He really is feeling so sorry for himself. I'm not sure if you've ever been in a mood like this. I sure have. So I find this poem quite funny and relatable because he's just so dramatic. But anyway, the speaker uses a synonym to compare this word to a bell, which brings him back to his own reality. Soul is singular, okay? The word adieu is French and it means goodbye. It seems as though the nightingale is about to fly away and the speaker is saying farewell. Okay, the fancy cannot cheat so well as fun is famed to do, deceiving elf. Okay, so let's get into that one. The speaker states that even the blessed or the fancy people of the world cannot do what the nightingale is famous to do, was set up to achieve. So he's incredible. Again, he's just admiring this nightingale. Due to this, the speaker calls the bird a deceptive elf. This is the third time it's been referred to as a magical creature. Okay? Deception means to trick. So perhaps the speaker feels deceived into believing that he as a human can be truly free too, which is not true. That's how he's feeling anyway. He's created big problems for himself, this man. And he's also having a bit of an existential crisis because we have to pay bills and we have responsibilities. So the bird doesn't have any of that. So he's busy saying, you're deceiving because you make it look so easy. You cheat. Even the fancy humans can't do what you do so well. Okay, and then he goes, goodbye, goodbye. And then thy plaintive anthem fades. Okay, your anthem, your sound, right, that you make. I can hear it fading. I'm starting to lose you. Okay, then he starts to describe the route which the bird must take. And then when the bird is gone, the speaker is not even sure if it truly happened. I think it happened quite fast. He had like a rush of blood to the head. He kind of just had these intensive thoughts so fast and he kind of spiraled a little bit. And I think he's just like, did that really just happen? Did I even see this bird or did I just have a bit of a mental wobble? But yes, he thinks about the route this bird is going to go. He thinks the bird's going to go past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now Tisbury deep in the next valley. And the bird's gone, just like he predicted. And he's so jealous. He is so restless. He wants to be just like this bird. So do you see why jealousy is a theme in this poem as well? He's very envious. He wants to move. He wants to be free. He doesn't want to be held down by his responsibilities. Was it a vision or a waking dream? Did this really happen? Was it just a vision? Am I dreaming? Fled is that music. Do I wake or sleep? The music's fled. The music's gone. Am I awake or am I asleep? Okay, very dreamlike sort of ending, isn't it? Okay, he's confused. He's a bit overwhelmed. Right. What's interesting is the speaker uses a colon and a dash. He's used a colon before up there to kind of introduce a new thought pattern. But now he's just, this is indicating a large pause. Okay, so a colon is to introduce a concept and a dash is indicating a pause. So the speaker is asking the question to an audience and to himself as well. Okay, he's contemplating what just happened. He's confused and overwhelmed. Right, while the poem is fresh in your mind, I'm going to just get the questions up for you, and I'd like you to pause the video, and I'd like you to try and answer these to the best of your ability. We will be going through them in the activity video to come. Alright, but for now, pause the video and give it a bash whilst it's all fresh in your mind. Okay, so if you take anything away from this lesson, guys, I want you to realize that an ode is a piece of poetry that's dedicated to praising something specific. It's an ode to, and then what they're going to do this praise about. Okay? An ode does not have to have a specific rhyme scheme, rhythm, or structure. It's meant to be sung and chanted. Okay? So, you know, it's much more fluid in terms of structure. All right, it's all about praise and it's all about singing. That's why it is a lyric poem. Right. And then yes, you can always tell if something's an ode and comment that it's an ode because it will say in the title an ode to and then the subject in question. Alrighty, that is all the time we have for today. These are the references that I used. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening. I know that if you got through this poem, you can get through others and you're going to do really well. See you in the activity video.